Today on
Doomed!
MAGA Communism. I honestly don't even know what to say. I feel like I'm like living in some Twilight Zone. I feel like Rod Serling's about to pop up and start his classic sort of Imagine a World or Small Town America, Anywhere USA, something like that. And then, of course, he cuts to a 1950s greaser type in some sort of small town. And it's pretty funny because this person who we'll be talking about, who sort of coined this term, MAGA communism, will fit that bill quite well. With the slick back hair and the, whatever. We'll talk about all this in a second. I feel like I'm going insane. MAGA communism is a thing that internet political grifters are trying to push now. Joining me, though, on this episode of Doomed with Matt Binder, let me introduce him right now to discuss what MAGA communism is. And let me bring us up on the feed. Here we are. Ogel of the Twitter account The Wasting Times. Ogel, thank you so much for joining me today.
Oh, I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for inviting me, Matt.
Oh, it's my pleasure. I follow you on Twitter. You are always a great resource for tracking what's going on in the sort of fake lefty, like red-brown alliance promoting. Some people called them the dumb left. Michael Brooks, rest in peace. And
Yes.
I'm honestly at a loss for words for this one. Like, usually I'll get what they're going for, and like I understand the sort of like the game plan there and what the strategy is and why they're trying to put forward what they're putting forward. And sometimes some of the stuff from some of these people in this like online circle, I feel like sometimes they put forward, and I'm someone who always tries to look at everything very optimistically. People have, people say, I've been criticized for being a nice guy because I like to give people benefit of the doubt. So, there's a lot of times where, I see where these folks are coming from. I get what they're going for. I think they have well-meaning intentions. Some of them. But the person who we're going to mainly talk about today, the person who coined MAGA communism, I'm not extending that that olive branch, I guess you can say. I don't believe this is someone acting in good faith. I don't believe this is someone who's simply misguided. And I mean, I think MAGA communism is perfect proof of someone not being just their heart's in the right place. Give them a break. No, I don't think we can do that for this one. So Ogel, I don't really follow these guys as closely as I should, but you do. So Ogel, tell me a little bit about what MAGA communism is, because it seems to have just come out of nowhere, just in these past couple of days, maybe a week or two.
I think that we could probably look at it, as a self-promotion strategy. It's new buzzwords, basically. I mean, it's a mashup of MAGA and communism. MAGA means Make America Great Again Communism. So is this supposed to mean that America was once a communist country and then it was great, and so we're going to make America great again by again returning? No, it was never a communist country, and the people that are MAGA are the most entrenched in anti-communist rhetoric and values that have been, hammered into their heads for the past, better part of a century.
Right. I mean, and we should be clear here that, like, the idea that there is going to be a movement, or that someone is even pushing a movement trying to combine Donald Trump's right-wing nationalist, fascist, xenophobic, misogynistic, racist movement with communism seems funny, not just because of the complete, polar opposite to those two ideologies put forward, but it's also because, like, Trump himself, along with the MAGA movement, I mean, hates communism. It seems pretty simple. This is not going to take off.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just, creating this contradiction of terms, mashing it together, and just it's like a car wreck. And I mean, it's been trending. Like people are noticing. Like I got to give him credit. Like he knows he's focused on getting the clout, and he's coming up with these bizarre concepts in order to achieve that. And it's working to some degree. I think most of the attention he's getting from this is people ridiculing it. I mean, I think he has some sycophants that are very excited by this concept.
Hey,
Um,
he's grown a big YouTube audience by we should actually pause for a second because I realize you and me are talking. I mean, it's not really inside baseball, but we're in this bubble and we're talking he, referring to the person who coined and created and is spearheading MAGA communism. But for people who are just tuning in, they're like, what? Who? I guess we should pause talking about MAGA communism. I mean, I wanted to mention it up front because that's what this episode's focusing on, this ridiculous new thing. But we should, and this is where, you could really give people a good background here. We should talk about Jackson Hinkle, the man who coined this term, who, I don't want to give too much away with this summary. So tell us, who is Jackson Hinkle?
I first became aware of him in 2019, and he was running for city council in his town in Orange County, California. And I used to watch the Young Turks every day back then, and Cenk had him on, and some other young candidates. He was running for office. I think he was like 19 years old or 20. He's a young guy, and he was like Bernie aligned, and it was like, oh, this is great, I bet this young progressive Bernie bro kid, will do a better job representing his people than the establishment, people that are also running. So I had a good opinion at that time. And then like he kind of fell off my radar, and then Force the Vote, Jimmy Dore pushing this Force the Vote concept. I don't know if you need to go into a big explanation of that, as I think most of your audience is probably familiar with that at this point. And I don't know if he was on that town hall, the Force the Vote town hall, infamous Force the Vote town hall, but he was on Twitter. He was aligning with that, and he had a small YouTube show at that time. And
The dive with Jackson
He's kept
Hinkle.
that name, so
Right.
So I thought Force the Vote was outrageous. I thought it was
maybe we should give people, again, I have talked about Force the Vote on this show, but there's probably gonna be people who see the title of this episode, MAGA Communism, maybe have never listened to this show before, and have no idea what Force the Vote was. Maybe we should give people just a quick, like the Cliff Notes version of what was, or I hate to say is, because that that means it's still going on and being argued today. But what was, is, will forever be. Force the Vote. Ogel.
Okay, so when there was the vote in Congress for Speaker for the new session, and so Nancy Pelosi was going to get elected to that. But Jimmy Dore had this idea: we should force the vote on the election of Nancy Pelosi to Speaker, and
this is in late 2020, right? This starts to
2020, yeah.
Right.
And so we were gonna say the Squad and other progressives in Congress should withhold their vote from Nancy Pelosi, and without their votes, there will be a situation where she won't be able to be elected, and there's a risk that the Republican can become Speaker, although the proponents of Force the Vote said, no, that's impossible. I mean, it's not impossible. And in exchange for AOC and the Squad going along with electing Pelosi that she would promise to have a floor vote on Medicare for all that everyone knew, and Jimmy Dore, I think he acknowledged, was doomed to fail. So it was just the squad would need to alienate themselves from the Democratic caucus by like going to war with Pelosi. No more playing nice at all, and it would just be like, you do things our way. We have all the power because we have enough people. We have squeak by that we can force the situation like this. And so Jimmy Dore, originally a bunch of pretty much there was a consensus in the progressive commentator community that maybe this is an okay idea, but
Right, like
Jimmy Dore became
I think putting forward a strategy like that as an idea to consider and see how it goes and see how it flies. I mean, not seeing how force the vote in action goes, like, you know, trying to stop Nancy Pelosi if she doesn't agree to the floor vote. I mean, I'm talking about the strategy of, you know, that threat, that potential thing that could happen, and seeing how that works. Because I'm all for you know, a array of ideas, array of you know, electoral strategies, direct action, and seeing how things go over. So I'm not against the idea outright. And I think, like you said, a lot of people were, you know, at first were like, yeah, this could be a possibility. Put this on the list of strategies that could potentially, you know, be rolled out.
Yeah. And then AOC signaled that she wasn't really interested in this at this time for this purpose. And then Jimmy Dore made it into this whole thing of the fraud squad that they're not willing to fight. They said they were going to go there and, you know, shake things up and create a ruckus. So it became an us versus them of people that were said, well, if the squad's, they're using their judgment, they're there. They're the ones that is assessing the situation on the ground there. And the ask of a floor vote for Medicare for all that's doomed to fail anyways, that's kind of a weird thing to kind of, make it be this, us versus them. We're going to break left unity, and the Bernie, movement is, going to try to fracture it around this thing. And it kind of, in my eyes, and I think a lot of people saw this as becoming a smear campaign against the squad and especially AOC. And in order to, for some of these commentators like Jimmy Dore to present themselves as the true left, and everyone should only watch their shows and give them super chats because they're representing the left movement, and you should stop watching all the other shows and only watch our shows now.
I like that. I'm gonna roll out a campaign where I ask everyone to just give me all their money. I think that's genius, honestly. But no, I mean, it seems like, once your idea to have certain members of Congress to threaten to vote against Pelosi as Speaker in exchange for a floor vote on, Medicare for all, and those very members of Congress that you need to go along with the strategy decline. Once that happens, I think it's, you could be disappointed, but that's sort of the end of that strategy, right? Like it seems like you can't do it without them. But they sort of turned it from a strategy that they were suggesting to like a anti AOC and other members of the squad movement, which is bizarre. And so back to Hinkle and MAGA communism here.
Yep.
Hinkle, you were saying that Hinkle was on your radar early on and he was like a lib back in the early days, right? And the early days, literally, we're talking like what, 2-3 years ago?
Yeah. His evolution has been very fast. Yeah, I mean, I guess you could call him a lib. He's called himself a lib recently. He's repented his old lib ways, but I mean, he was a progressive. I think I don't want to just dismiss him as, he was just a lib, and he was like a Bernie guy.
Right. I mean, I'm looking at this this video clip that you had sent me. I don't have it on my computer. Maybe I should pull it while you talk so we could get a good idea. So why don't you continue with giving us a little bit of background of when
Uh-huh.
your discovery of Jackson Hinkle while I pull this clip.
Sure. So with Force the Vote, I noticed, different commentators were kind of falling on either side, and Hinkle, I think he had a YouTube show at the time, and I think that he saw an opportunity here, and maybe he really believed in what Jimmy Dore was talking about too, but I think it was also an opportunity for him to glom onto this bandwagon, and so let's see. So then I kind of lost touch with what he had been up to since then. I'm getting a little feedback. I'll try to power through.
Oh, sorry.
Um,
Let me see if it's something on my
so
end. Go ahead. No, go ahead.
okay. So Force the Vote. He I think I was aware of his position on that from Twitter. And then I kind of lost touch with what he was doing. I mean, I didn't really focus on him at all. And then I came across some random conversation on Twitter. Somebody saying, "Did you see Jackson Hinkle and making all these misogynistic comments on Twitch?" And I was like, what stream was this? And so I got pointed to John Zerka's stream, and he's like an edgy Twitch streamer guy, and he hosts these panel shows that are very bawdy discussions, and he's kind of like a pickup artist sort of guy. And he had Hinkle
Hold
on
on,
one of these panels.
I didn't know this. The pickup. I mean, it makes sense. The pickup artist turn here. So wait. So was Hinkle just like going on the show, or did he have a move, an attempt at being like a PUA at some point?
I don't know anything about that.
Okay.
But he was on this panel show, and there was like 9 other people on with him, and it was like people were kind of like doing a one up of who could be, say the most outrageous thing sort of thing. And Hinkle was just saying these awful things about women, and how he would lie to women in order to take advantage of them, and how he just wanted to take advantage of women for clout. And I think most famously out of those clips, he says, I do everything for the clout. You'll never see me do something not for the clout. It's the only way I operate. It's the only way I operate. And he seems very serious about that. And also on these panels, he talked a lot about Hassan Piker. And Hassan was extremely successful on Twitch at this time. And Jackson kept saying, oh, how he's going to one day, very soon, he's going to be bigger than Hassan Piker. And to Hinkle's credit, I don't know if he's bigger than Hassan right now, but Hinkle's audience has grown substantially.
Yeah, I noticed. I mean, see, I saw him. Excuse me. I'm like trying to remember when I first saw him, but I first came across him. I honestly didn't really know about him back when he was just a normie Democrat running for office in California, and he's fairly young. I understand, right? Like he was like 19 when he ran for office a couple of years ago, so that puts him at what, like 22, 23 now. I
Yeah,
mean,
I think he's around there.
I mean, I almost feel like I'm ragging on a little kid. I feel like I need to.
Mm.
I mean, it's amazing, but I mean, he is a grown man in his 20s, and he's developing a fairly decent sized audience over the past couple of years, going from this normie Democrat to like a sort of, I guess, edgy, dumb lefty type who's a Dorite, big Jimmy Dore fan, or was, I guess. I don't know if he still is. And now
Oh, he regularly appears on Jimmy Dore's show now.
oh, he's regularly on. So because I've seen him recently, go on Tucker Carlson's show,
Mm-hmm.
which was, I'll say this, I was surprised, not because of his politics. It seemed like he had turned that way, and ideologically he fits quite well on that show. In the seat that is, sort of like a Glenn Greenwald type Carlson pundit, where Tucker likes to have on these people who pretend they're not right wingers to give the beliefs that they both share when they're on the air. some sort of extra cred, like, hey, hey, the Tucker Carlson audience, my audience, look, we know we're right because here I am saying these completely normal things, which of course are not normal at all. And look, a left winger agrees with me. And of course, the person they have on is not really a lefty. So, I wasn't shocked to see him on there filling that seat, playing that
Well, the thing
character.
about that
But
is
I
that
was
he
I
was
was shocked to see him. I was shocked to see him on there because I didn't know he was that big. Go ahead.
sorry, that he wasn't even presented as a left winger on Tucker's show.
He wasn't.
I don't think so. He wasn't presented as MAGA communist guy or left wing guy. It was just, here's this guy Jackson Hinkle. He has the show The Dive, and then Hinkle just starts ranting about how Biden and Zelensky are fascists.
Right. So you know what? I bet any Tucker Carlson viewer who watched that appearance and saw Jackson Hinkle for likely the first time, and I'm sure it promoted, in the little chyron at the bottom, the lower thirds, it said, I'm sure, The Dive with Jackson Hinkle, host of, and I'm sure any Carlson viewer who tuned in and is like, oh, I'm going to check this. I'm going to do the grandma voice because that's obviously the majority of Fox News' audience. Oh, I'm going to check out this young whippersnapper Hinkle out. And they go log into YouTube, and of course they're going, JACKSON, The Dive. And they type it in and they go to Jackson Hinkle's YouTube channel and they start viewing. I mean, I think they'll be a little bit shocked because MAGA communism. Ooh, what communism? What is this? Who did Tucker have on?
He doesn't even really talk about communism that much. He'll just refer to himself as I'm a communist,
Yes.
But he focuses much more on the anti-woke stuff, the globalists, Soros, and I mean, most of his content is about Ukraine and rooting for Russia and Putin to dominate liberal democracy.
I feel like that's where his audience really started to take off. Am I right? When Russia invaded Ukraine and he took that position, right? But I don't think I've ever seen someone label themselves as a communist as much as Jackson Hinkle does. It's very bizarre. And I was on a show with with Jamie, formerly of the Antifada. So I know people who identify all the time as communists. I think Hinkle even outdoes her in terms of self-IDing as a communist. But, of course, Jamie is actually a communist. And Hinkle just seems to really enjoy calling himself that without sharing any of the beliefs. It's really weird. It's bizarre.
Yeah, I think he loves to use the label communist for himself because I think he's trying to create a niche for himself, and that's because that's where you make the money. I think that's the motivation. He doesn't. I don't think he really focuses on the issues about communism very much, but I think he focuses much more on trying to cultivate a conservative audience.
Yeah, it's interesting to see the trajectory here. Like, I don't know if I've ever seen anything like it, and I'm not saying like that growth. No. I mean, listen, if there was, I've already given him kudos, props, can't detract from the fact that he's been building his audience. But trajectory-wise, I'm talking about his specific, move. Like, we all know the left-winger becomes a right-winger, and then during COVID, we had, the trajectory of, the left-winger who became an anti-vaxxer, who became a right-winger. But Hinkle is treading this weird line where he's from normie dem to holier-than-thou real leftist to sort of this weird right-winger that calls himself a communist. I've never seen it before in my life.
And he was calling himself a patriotic socialist for a long time also.
I remember that one. I don't even understand what these things mean because they're just words put together that have no real distinction. What is a patriotic socialist? What is a MAGA?
Well, he points to like China and says, well, the people there are patriotic and it's a socialist communist country. And so I'm like that.
I mean, it's
And then
really
for America, though, even though America is not a socialist communist country at all, why you would be why you're obsessed with being as communist and patriotic socialist, but America isn't socialist. It's just, I don't think it's supposed to make sense. It's just supposed to sound like a buzz phrase.
right. I mean, China is not even really communist. I mean, come on. I mean, how many large mega corporations exist in China? I mean, it's kind of ridiculous to even consider. Why? Because the ruling party is called the Chinese Communist Party. Is is North Korea being run by the Democratic People's Republic? I mean, come on. But I guess he's I don't even know if he really believes that. But let's watch some of these clips now, because I mean, first I guess let's take a look at let's watch the clips first, because let's follow it in the order of this stuff dropping. So I said he was on Tucker. And you would think that would be where I would pull the clip from, but no. He actually went a step further and went on the One America News Network, OAN, and had a really interesting discussion there, because unlike his Tucker appearance, like you said, where he doesn't really come clean as to his quote-unquote communist views, on OAN, he's on basically to try to sell this MAGA communism branding. And it doesn't seem to go well for him. In fact, like even the OAN host seems a bit like floored as what the hell? What am I doing? Did we book the wrong guest? Let's play this first clip now. This is Jackson Hinkle, the creator of MAGA communism, on the most left-wing network you could think of course, the Trump sycophant network, One America News Network.
The man himself, Jackson Hinkle. Jackson, it's great to have you on the program. Welcome to In Focus. I came across you with the trending hashtag MAGA communism. Now, a lot of people are going to hear that hashtag, MAGA communism, and be a little bit confused. So I'm going to let you explain what that means, because I don't think you're a communist, Jackson.
Well, I actually am a communist, but at the end of the day,
I love the change in the reaction from the OAN host, who thinks, maybe I got a right-wing troll on my hands, one of those, the latest, right-wing prankster comedians, like the guy who yelled out to AOC about her rear end. Maybe I got one of those types on, and he's, this is a gag he's playing to, own the libs or the lefties or whatever. So he's got this big smile on his face when he goes, I don't think you're a communist, Jackson, am I right? And then Jackson goes, well, actually I am. And he's like, he mouths like, oh. And the big old like 1950s Corny Collins from the movie Hairspray shit-eating grin goes away. Let's continue with that clip.
communists have a lot of the same goals as working class Americans made up in the MAGA movement. So we as communists want to unite with MAGA voters and finish the job of Donald Trump and getting the globalists out of the MAGA movement, because there's so many globalists that are trying to co-opt the MAGA movement.
Now, Jackson, I'm going to push back just a little bit, because you and I, it sounds like, agree on a whole slew of things. I despise big pharma. I despise big tech. I despise the deep state regime. But where's the differentiation here is, I would consider myself a conservative populist. And it sounds like, the views that you're espousing definitely fall in that line. So what makes you a communist specifically?
That's it right there. That's like ball game. Like I'm shocked, because let me tell you, I've watched a lot of OAN clips, and quite frankly, their hosts aren't very good. I I mean, maybe that's what happened here. Maybe the host did not mean to just literally own his fellow right-wing conservative guest and try to blow up their whole entire scheme here, presenting themselves as a communist while holding these right-wing views. But he just basically, that's it. Like, Rex Hinkle there.
What strikes me about that segment was that Hinkle's like, no, actually, I am a communist. And then he doesn't explain how he is a communist. He says, well, working class Americans of the MAGA movement, I like them. And then he says, I'm going to finish the job of Donald Trump to root out the globalists and the deep state. Like, he's not talking about communism there at all. He's just, and he does this thing where he conflates MAGA with the working class, which I think is disgusting. Like, MAGA, there's more working class outside of MAGA than in MAGA. MAGA is like almost entirely white people, so it just kind of discounts all the diversity in America.
Right. Also, conservatives famously anti, big pharma, of course, with their love and promotion of ivermectin and the big pharma company who creates ivermectin. Conservatives famously anti-big tech while standing for the biggest big tech billionaire, the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, the man behind PayPal, the largest online payment platform. Of course, that we would never consider that big tech. Also, the person behind Tesla and a number of other big tech companies that are upcoming, like Starlink and SpaceX, literally space exploration for, people who can afford to pay for it. Very anti-big tech there. And of course, anti-deep state. When the deep state is basically working to actually perhaps maybe try to have Trump actually face some sort of consequence for his actions. Of course, not anti-deep state when they were cheering on the arrest of like Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton, when QAnon was telling them that was going to happen. But of course, famous conservative viewpoints there. Let's continue a little bit more with this clip.
Communism and Marxism historically has always been conservative. It's a new era of communism in the West that claims to be adherent to these liberal leftist values. So this is not true Marxism. This is Marxism funded by George Soros, and they're trying to take away what Marxism actually means for the American people. And
what is he talking about? I mean, using his twisted logic, I can see him arguing something like this. And you know what? I'm not even going to give him the benefit of the doubt and think this is what he's arguing from. So if he does happen to come across this clip, he will probably start using this because he hears me say it. So you're welcome, Jackson Hinkle, in advance for this talking point. I can see the convoluted way of making this work is, Marx and Lincoln actually exchanged some letters because they had respect for what each other was doing. So, case in point, Lincoln was a Republican. Don't look into the history of anything else. Of course, don't look into, when the parties would have swapped and traded ideologies. And no, just keep it going here. Lincoln was Republican. Marx liked Lincoln. Lincoln liked Marx. Boom, bada, bing. Marx was a Republican. Republicans today are conservative. Hence, Karl Marx, conservative. You're welcome, Jackson Hinkle. I'll take the check should be in the mail, I'm assuming. Is there more to this clip? Let me see. Give me 1 second.
At the end of the day, it means securing a future that is worth living in. And the only way we can do that is by combating these major institutions rather than major monopolies who are stealing our, wealth from us. can unite with MAGA voters on.
So Jackson, I think the point that I disagree with here is, with the whole point, you're going to own nothing and be happy. That is the globalist goal. That also does fall under the umbrella of communism when you trace it throughout its history.
Literally, they're obsessed with that random line that I don't remember, like Carl Schwab was quoted at some like event or something like that. I don't even recall, but just ridiculous, as if that's something being instituted in the United States of America, a country that both parties happily and quite forcefully push our lovely capitalistic system where consumerism is number one. Buy, own, consume. The idea that anyone in this country with any power, regardless Republican or Democrat, is pushing, you will own nothing and be happy, is absurd.
He also decries leftist values in his spiel there. And it's like, what leftist values do you have a problem with? Like, enumerate them. Like, you don't like that, women have rights, or minorities have rights, gay rights, LGBTQ. I mean, what is the leftism? I mean, he's like, super anti-woke or whatever. But okay, that you could take that being like the tone of it, or the tactics they use or whatever. But I mean, the values, the leftist values, how can you have an issue with that?
Right. Let's actually take a look at what these, because I had you on to talk about, to ask you what is MAGA communism, but then I see you on Twitter earlier today found this Jackson. I don't follow Jackson Hinkle, so I mean it was publicly posted, but you're the person who got it on my feed. Let's take a look at this. I guess what the MAGA communism stands for here. So we got Jackson Hinkle tweeting out, what does MAGA communism stand for? And I will zoom in on this image here, and we'll read through, this is a lot of fucking bullet points. We will read through some of them, and then very quickly, I think a lot of people will realize this is all just a bunch of bullshit. But let's read through some of them now. So MAGA communism is for reindustrialization of America. All right.
Okay.
Dismantle big tech. Okay. I mean,
if you look over to the side, it says nationalize big tech.
Oh, look at that. So wait. We want to dismantle big tech and nationalize big tech. Which are we doing first? I mean, if we nationalize big tech and then dismantle it, then it just no longer exists after we've nationalized it. A weird run of the events. But also, if we dismantle big tech, what is left to nationalize? So also, nothing there. Weird. Also, I'm trying to understand which works with what, because MAGA, I'm assuming, wouldn't be okay with nationalizing big tech, because that would be big government then. Big government. But also, they wouldn't be okay with, they would be okay with dismantling big tech, but at the same time, dismantling big tech would also mean big government encroaching on those companies' right to free speech as well. So what is, I'm confused, very confusing, but let's continue. End foreign intervention, okay. End globalist imperialism, okay. But also this is a person who has been cheering on Russia, who has been pulling an imperialism in Ukraine for the past, oh God, how long has it been? I feel like we're approaching, 6 months or more? 6, 7, 8, 7 months. Holy shit.
Well, they argue, the tankies, of which Hinkle is one. I don't think we have time to go into defining what a tanky is. But the people that cheerlead for Russia, they have some theory that Russia is not actually doing imperialism because there's some definition that Lenin had for imperialism, and it's like the highest stage of capitalism or something. And anyway, they're like, because of Lenin is holy to them, that they'll go by that strained definition.
Right.
But clearly, what Russia is doing is imperialism.
Right.
They're I don't know if they've denounced, but there's talks that they're going to hold referendums so that a couple of Ukrainian territories that are occupied by Russia right now will hold a referendum so that they can join Russia. So
Right.
tell me that's not imperialistic.
Right. Drain DOJ swamp. I mean, what does that even mean? I mean, it's sort of like there's a bunch of these like just I don't know, like trendy words that are thrown on here, like almost like marketing lingo for right wingers. It's what does that even mean? Drain DOJ swamp, but okay. Pardon January 6th protesters. Okay, I like this one because I'm looking at the list here. And listen, if I'm someone on board with complete prison abolition, obviously, I can see pardoning all, whether they are right winger or left winger. Or obviously, that would be something you're for. There's just no one, is going to be, thrown into the prison industrial complex. But I'm looking at this list, and I don't see. Maybe I'm wrong. Did you see anything? I'm trying to look. Did you see anything about, I don't know, say people who are in prison for, low level offenses, like, because of the drug war, the war on drugs, or people who are in prison for any sort of non-violent crime, people who have, who are in prison because they couldn't afford cash bail. I don't see any of that here. In fact, the only mention of prison is, other than pardoning those protesters, is arresting George Soros, Klaus Schwab, Bill Gates, Dr. Fauci, and all Epstein associates. Very bizarre that a communist's first priority in terms of who is currently in jail would be the people who tried to overturn the 2020 election and sort of crown Donald Trump Emperor of the United States of America.
There are these various people in the dumb left that just downplay 1/6 like constantly, and it just doesn't make any sense to me. Like, what happened was completely outrageous, unsustainable. Like, I think people have now been charged formally for insurrection.
I mean, it would have been super simple to just put, pardon all people in prison for drug offenses, low-level offenses, any sort of poverty offense in terms of like maybe like petty theft and even people who are in jail because they can't afford bail, and then also just throw on this list political, because that's what they like to call them, political prisoners, they being right wingers, like January 6 people. Like, he could have thrown that in there very casually and still tried to hold up whatever left wing cred he's still pretending to have. Not one care in the world for anyone else who's in prison but the January 6 rioters. It's incredible.
It's pretty clear this isn't about principles. This is about pandering to MAGA right-wing audience.
Absolutely. Extend free speech to social media, but wait, I thought we just dismantled big tech. What social media is there left to extend free speech to? What else we got here? I'm gonna skip a few of these. Ban Antifa street terrorism. There. I mean, that's red lights flashing right there for me. Those are the only. That's the only political group he's thrown out there. I don't see any mention of like Proud Boys, Patriots Prayer, the 3%ers, any no white supremacist groups, no Groypers. I'm trying to think off the top of my head some other right wing groups. None of these guys at all, just Antifa. And of course, Antifa is the counter to that. Not the people who show up starting it. They're the people who stand there in defense of the targets of those right-wing groups. Amazing. Wow. The real left winger there banned Antifa street terrorism.
I think street terrorism is already banned.
Right. Well, in his defense, Antifa is free to, they get a pass. They're free to run havoc on the streets, which they do in our big cities every night, according to the right wing.
Street terrorism, Antifa street terrorism banned. January 6th protester terrorism, good to go.
Right. No open borders. Very, very left wing there. Promote made in America products. Well, that could go either way. That could be right-wing nationalism, or for left-wingers, that could be support of unions, but it has to be union-made, made in America. What else do we got here? Patriotic education. End woke academia. What does that even mean? What does that mean? What's patriotic education? Are we not going to teach children about slavery? About the brutal founding of this country and what we did to the native people and stealing their land and the genocide of the natives? Are we not going to talk about, what we did to many other marginalized groups throughout history, when we could even bring up can't even bring up like what we did to, how we treated the Irish or the Italians when they were the immigrants coming over here. Can't talk about how we treated the Japanese during World War II here. Can't do that at all. Well, maybe he would allow the Japanese internment camp teachings because that happened under FDR, and anything to make a liberal Democratic president look bad. I guess that would be the end of that would be not woke academia, I guess.
Yeah, I guess just make PragerU part of the curriculum.
Right. Someone called him Andrew Jackson Hinkle. And someone else pointed out, who is this? This Swan on the YouTube live stream chat, when I mentioned that Hinkle wanted to arrest Epstein associates, which I'm on board with. But this one said, oh, so that means you have to arrest Trump then, based. Because, yes, Trump is a friend of Epstein. An Epstein associate, if you will. Let's read a few more here, because my eyes are really now opening to what MAGA communism is. Remove red tape. I mean, I don't know what that means. It's completely, again, just buzzwords thrown out there. And someone has highlighted. My
favorite here.
Yeah, did you highlight this?
Yeah,
Okay, good. Okay, subsidize gyms in every community. Oh my God! I mean, I guess he's just a big fan of I don't know, getting brolic or something. I don't know, subsidize gyms but as you pointed out on Twitter, I'm looking like you think subsidization of gyms would be paired, and of course you wouldn't have to say subsidize gym use or whatever, because it would be a part of Medicare for all, universal health care, making sure people are maintaining a healthy lifestyle by being able to, I don't know, go to the doctor when they need to and not worry about medical debt, access to, doesn't have to, gyms maybe, I don't know how we do that, but people should have access to community centers, like, the YMCA, to be able to work out and, be, healthy in that way if they'd like to, learn to eat in a more healthy way if they'd like to. But that would all be under the umbrella of universal health care, which, as you pointed out, oddly, for a communist / socialist / left-winger, not on this list. Like, I don't know about you, but when I think of, like, the ultimate left-wing goal, the ultimate priority in this country that every leftist is sort of in tandem with, or at least every legitimate, real, true leftist is on board with, as the focus is Medicare for all, universal health care.
Yeah, and Hinkle would, in the past, he would do these tweets where he would count up how many times AOC tweeted about Medicare for all within a certain period of time and post it as if there was some deficit that she had, she hadn't tweeted enough about Medicare for all.
Unbelievable. I mean, I don't know if unbelievable is the right word, but deport Bush family, Clinton family, Obama, Pompeo, Bolton. I mean, I will say thank you to Hinkle for allowing, I guess, Michelle and Sasha and Malia to stay in the country, because it's deport Bush family and Clinton family, but just Obama. So Michelle gets to stay along with the kids. I appreciate that. What else we got here? I don't even know what else. These are all just buzzwords here for the most part.
The protecting minors from sexualization, that is a dog whistle about transphobia.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. All right. Yeah. Amazing.
I'm sold.
Yeah. I mean, this is. What more can you say about something so ludicrous? But I felt it was important to have someone on, such as yourself, Ogel, to sort of break down where this was coming from and who the mastermind behind this is, because in the event it does take off in certain circles, people should be aware of exactly what this grift is, and that's exactly what this is. I mean, I think Jackson Hinkle, his ultimate end game with this is he's basically carved a nice little niche out for himself in this weird world of having a right-wing audience by being a right-winger but calling himself a communist. I mean, that's always gone over. I mean, Tim Pool in some fashion has this same sort of thing, not as far as Hinkle goes with the communist label, but, the idea that I'm actually really a lefty or a lib, or was a lefty or a lib, and I was pushed further and further to the right by how crazy real lefties and libs are. I still hold those beliefs true to my heart, but I'm vibing with the right because they got the right vibes for me, when in actuality, that's what they say. But in actuality, they're just right-wingers. They believe what the right wing says. They say what the right wing says. And, Hinkle, I guess, has taken that strategy to the next level with the communist label.
Yeah, that's interesting. I haven't really thought of that analysis before, but yeah, it's a good analogy.
I mean, because that's just where his audience seems to be from. It's not because I don't even think again, maybe I'm overextending my kindness here, but I don't think he's particularly grown in that sort of dumb lefty, real lefty, sort of tanky world. I'm sure he has viewers with them, but it's not like he blew up in that market. It feels like his growth is from the right, full blown right wingers.
Yeah, and watching his show, you wouldn't know he was a communist, ostensibly, other than him just saying, I am this label, a communist, over and over, because he doesn't talk about Marxist theory. At least it's not the emphasis of his show. I'm sure he pays lip service once in a while. But it's mostly, I mean, his main focus is, his focus on Ukraine for the past, since the invasion. And, and his point of view on that is just atrocious and being extremely anti-Ukrainian and pro-Putin.
All right. So Ogel, where do you let's end it on this note. Where do you think Hinkle takes this next? If patriotic socialist was I don't know, that meme, the galaxy brain meme, where it's the bigger mind, and then the brain keeps growing each next step with the latest revelation. if like MAGA communist is the one level before galaxy brain, where does Hinkle take this to reach galaxy brain status? I mean, maybe MAGA communism is galaxy brain. We'll see, I guess. But if he was to take it further,
Maybe he adds some like Heaven's Gate elements to this.
oh my god, oh my god, that would be very scary. I would be. I would be. That would be something to definitely cover on this show. But damn, drinking the Kool-Aid if you believe in MAGA communism. Oh my god. Ogel, thank you so much for joining me. Let people know where they can find you online, and feel free to promote any sort of, link to your work or any sort of upcoming project or anything you're working on. The floor is yours to name drop whatever you'd like. Feel free.
Great. Thanks so much for having me on, Matt. This was really fun. You can find me at The Wasting Times on Twitter. I also might start streaming again a little bit on Twitch, and I am The Wasting Times on Twitch.
All right, everyone, definitely go check out Ogel at his Twitter account, The Wasting Times, and all those other social media platforms he just mentioned. Ogel, thank you for joining me. Keep on tracking these guys, because you are one of the handful of accounts that I can always depend on to follow what's going on in this specific circle. And have a great night.
Thanks so much, Matt. Keep doing what you do.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
All right, folks, you all don't go anywhere, because we got a lot more show for you, because we're going to the second half of the program where I take your calls and I read your live chats, your super chats, your Twitch chats. This is the interactive portion of the show we're going into, so don't go anywhere if you're watching live. Before we do that, though, I'm going to quickly promote some stuff. Folks, patreon.com/Matt Binder to support this show if you can. I've said earlier, for the past few weeks, that September so far has been our worst month in general. It's been a hard month for us here, aka me at Doomed. Lost a number of people who, due to financial difficulty, losing their job. More people than I think we've ever lost since I started the Patreon page, and we are currently going in the reverse trajectory for the first time. The first time where the month over month is not going to be growth. It's been a hard hit here, honestly. It's been painful to see. So if you can afford, and I want to stress though, also if you could only afford to do so, those people who had to cancel, I'm happy you did, because you had to. If you didn't have to, then I'm not happy you canceled. But if you had to cancel, I'm happy you did, because like I always say, the show, donating to the show, becoming a subscriber to the show should only be extra money, expendable money. Take care of yourself, your family first, and then when you got some disposable income, then you could throw that subscription or a few bucks at me. So if you can afford to do so, patreon.com/Matt Binder. Also, if you are watching on the YouTube live stream, you can drop a super chat. I will read every super chat on the in the rest of the show coming up at youtube.com/Matt Binder. So be sure to drop those super chats. If you're watching the replay episode, you can drop a super thanks, which is a YouTube video comments version of a super thanks. It's a one-off donation, just like super chats. Easy way to drop a few bucks my way if you don't want to subscribe. Also, if you can, go to twitch.tv/Matt Binder and follow me on there. And if you are an Amazon Prime subscriber, and I know a lot of you are right now because you're watching that Lord of the Rings series, you can connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account with the click of a button. Now, why would I do that, Matt? I don't even use Twitch, Matt. I don't get Twitch. I'm like you, an elder millennial, or maybe I'm a Gen Xer, or even a boomer, or a silent generation viewer of the show. I don't know. The greatest generation viewer of the show. I don't know who's watching this show. I don't go on Twitch, you're saying? Well, even if you never use Twitch, if you connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account, Twitch gives you a free Twitch Prime subscription every month. What is that? That's a paid subscription to your favorite a paid subscription to your favorite Twitch streamer every month. Paid for Amazon to give the streamer, they're paying the streamer, but not paid for you. It's a freebie. You get a free Twitch Prime subscription with your Amazon Prime subscription every month. So, I mean, use it. Because if you don't, you're just letting Amazon keep that extra little cut from your Amazon Prime subscription price. You can be making sure Jeff Bezos has got to give your favorite streamer a little cut from the money you're paying Bezos to watch Lord of the Rings. So definitely do it. And you know what? If you don't give it to me, give it to someone. Any creator, except those gambling Twitch streamers. Don't give it to them. They're making plenty. But any other creator is better than just letting it go to waste. Of course, you should give it to me if you can. But if you don't want to give it to me, give it to someone. So that's twitch.tv/MattBinder. And remember, you have to manually resubscribe if you want to continue to give it to me every month. That's one way Amazon tries to get you. Those Twitch Prime subscriptions do not auto-renew. So if you subscribed via Twitch Prime to my Twitch channel last month, 2 months ago, 3 months ago, whenever, and you haven't manually resubscribed, I haven't been getting your Twitch subscription. So go there now, resubscribe manually, and make sure Bezos isn't walking away with more of your Lord of the Rings viewing money. As always, you can follow me on Twitter at MattBinder. You can check out my other show, Scam Economy, over at scameconomy.com. What else? Catch me on the Majority Report on Thursdays. I think that's everything for now, I think. So if you're not sticking around in the live stream, or if you're just listening to the free audio podcast version, which, that reminds me, you can grab links to that at doomedcast.com. Also, leave a review at Apple Podcasts and Spotify if you haven't already. It's a big help if you leave a review. Don't forget to do so if you haven't already. And with all that said, if you're not sticking around, I'll see you all next time on Doomed. For everyone else, just give me a minute. Gonna grab a quick drink, open the phone line so you can call in, and we're about to have another at least hour of show left to go. Today on
ecological collapse, corporate fascism, corporate journalism, police brutality, motive suppression, austerity economics, educate the masses, rampant homophobia, harmless sex.
we got our first caller. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
What's up, Matt?
We are back on the show. It is I, Matt Binder. This is the Doomed Post Show, where I take your calls, your comments, read your live chats, talk whatever you'd like, politics, crypto, entertainment, movies, film, TV, shoot the shit, music, of course. I almost forgot to play the wonderful second half intro song that friend of the show Renee put together for us. All right. The phone lines are open. If you'd like to call into this show, download Skype or open up Skype if you've already got it. Search Doomed Live. That's DOOMED. Live. LIVE. No space in between. Just type it out as one word. Doomed Live. And just click that call button. Oh, I take the calls as they come in, and this is the first caller. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, I see you've muted yourself. Hello?
Oh, can you hear me?
I can hear you. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, it's David from Milwaukee. How you doing?
Hey, David from Milwaukee. I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. Great show, by the way, today.
Thank you.
So I'm calling about music.
All right, let's do it. What would you like to talk about?
All right. So I think last week, I think it was last Thursday, somebody IM'd into the Majority Report and told you about August is Falling.
They did, and I said I would listen to it, and I have not yet. I lied. I'm sorry, everybody.
So here's the thing, right? So there's this guy. His name is Pat Finity, right? And he does a show on YouTube called What Makes This Song Stink, right? So basically, he's like spoofing this guy named Rick Beato, who does a series called What Makes This Song Great, right? So he picks like really shitty songs and just makes fun of them, makes like hour-long videos, you know, about like how like, these are crap and blah, 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 and third, right? He's really hilarious.
Now, check that out.
So he did a video on Machine Gun Kelly, on Emo Girl. And so basically he was like, he's like, this is emo music, then I'm going to make a joke band, right? So he made a joke band called August is Falling, and it's in the video, right? And he wrote an entire EP of like cookie cutter emo musics, right? And he's all over Instagram and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Like, he's not a very big guy, but he thought it would, at the end of the video of the Machine Gun Kelly video, he thought it'd be funny if we made this joke band, right? Or he made a joke band, right? And all of his fans, because I'm a fan of his, all of his fans would go on the Spotify and the YouTube page and like the song, right?
What's
leave a comment.
What's the name of the YouTube channel again? I want to open it up right now while you're talking about it.
So the guy's name is Pat Finity. He's from Pennsylvania. He's hilarious. He's like in his 40s.
Finnerty
Finnerty.
Finnerty. Okay.
Finity, I think. Like, it's like infinity, but Pat Finity.
Oh, Pat Finity. Okay.
Yeah, Pat Finity. It's all one word.
Oh, okay. Okay, hold on. Let me.
So basically, August is Falling is a joke band that he made, right? He wrote all the EP stuff. All the songs are bangers. They're hilarious, and they're like, they ape the style of an emo band, right?
I'll have to check this out.
He reached out to all of his fans, right? And we had to like subscribe on the channel of like the August is Falling, and we had to leave like comments like, you know, August is Falling really got me through like a tough time and blah blah blah, and the third, to get it up in the algorithm.
Right.
And a bunch of people jumped on it. Like, I think, so you know the band The Darkness?
Yes.
So Justin Hawkins has a YouTube channel called Justin Hawkins Rides Again. And he's friends with Pat. and decided to like do like a video on August is Falling about how like, oh, these are great songs, blah blah blah, and a third, right? It is a giant joke that now you are in on.
What is the name of the band again?
August is Falling.
Oh wait, so that's the band that was recommended to me.
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. I'm like, I don't want you
I'm
to
sorry,
look like a fool,
I'm
being like, this is a
slow
great
here.
band or whatever.
I'm
It's a
slow
joke
here.
band.
August is Falling. Okay, all right. Now I really want to check this out.
We got that. What's funny is that all the people that are in his community, whatever, like, you know, his Instagram and stuff like that, and all the people that subscribe to his YouTube channel, we got it trending for like number 5, like the EP on like iTunes and Spotify. So like, and like articles have been written about this band, be like, where did this band come from? Blah blah blah. So they're blowing all over up on social media, whatever. And so basically, he looked up. If you look at the image that's on the August is Falling like EP, it's a random image of a guy, right? Like, it looks pretty emo.
Yeah, with the septum piercing.
He's a real person. So basically, he was looking on Instagram and he found the August is Falling page. He was like, holy crap, that's my old Instagram profile, like picture. Because all Pat did was Google emo guys, and that's what came up. And so he reached out to him and was like, hey, do I have your permission to use your likeness? And he's like, of course, dude. He's like, this is hilarious.
That's great. I just realized, because when the person mentioned to me last time, I just like wrote the name August is Falling. I just Google searched it, and the EP name is The Simple Plan.
Exactly. It's 12 steps.
Oh
He
my
outlines a simple plan in the video of Machine Gun Kelly. And like the whole thing is like for him to get a hot tub. He's like, I want hot tub money.
Oh my God, I really want to watch this now, but I'm afraid to play anything due to YouTube copyright.
Oh,
I don't want
it'll be he copyrighted all that stuff. So like, but yeah, definitely for your own amusement and enjoyment, it's hilarious. Like, he's really funny, and he's got, I don't know his politics, but he's not like a right winger. But he's definitely entertaining, and he's hilarious. He has a podcast called What Makes a Song Stink, and same as the YouTube channel. And like the August is Falling EP, its lead single is called August is Falling because he was like, I'm gonna bad company this shit. He's like, I gotta bad company this. Like I gotta have a song that's the same name as the title of the band.
That is hilarious. Oh my God. I want to end the show and just go listen to it now.
I'm just saying, like if like, do yourself a favor, listen to it. It's cookie cutter early aughts, like emo music, right? It's like real My Chemical Romance and like Simple Plan. Like, he's taken all the influences of all these different like bands of early emo bands of the early aughts, and basically made an entire album. And one of the songs, I think it was August is Falling, got mixed by the same guy that mixed Blink-182.
Right. Wow.
Like randomly, the guy reached out to him and was like, "Hey, I'd love to mix this song for you." And because he's like, the song is great, I really want to work on it and produce it. And the guy's like, okay, but he did it. And the dude did it for free. He's like, yeah. He's like, I get what you're doing. This is hilarious. Like, I want to be a part of this, that kind of thing.
Right.
All over, like, it's just like been this guerrilla campaign of us, like, of all of his fans, like upvoting the different songs, going on like Spotify and using like 5 different phones to like cast it to get it up to like 100. I think this August is Falling like song single is up to 35,000 spins, and it's been like out for like less than a week.
That's crazy.
Or about a week.
I mean, I don't know what the regular amount is for this stuff, but that's thanks for calling and letting me in on this, because now I'm gonna definitely go check it out, and then I'll share my opinion after I listen to it next week, I guess.
Exactly. I want you to be on the joke. Like, I don't want you to be like, oh, this band's really, really good. It's like It's a joke band. Like we're making fun of
I
all these people.
probably would have
Hilarious.
I probably would have more been like, the shit is bad. It sounds dated. What the hell? Why are you?
Yeah, it's
Why did
so
you
like, but
recommend
it's
this
so
to me?
good. It's
Right.
hilarious.
Right. All right. Thanks for the call, man. I really appreciate it. This was really great because I'm now I really want to listen to this. Have a great night.
All right, man. You too, man. Bye.
Take care. Bye. All right. Let's go back to the phones. What's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello?
Hey. Oh, it's Cameron. Everybody. Hello, Cameron. How are you, my friend?
Hi. Just let me get my Skype app oriented. Okay.
Sure.
Here we go.
And if you could move, just scoot over just a tad to your right, just a little bit. Perfect.
Yeah. Why? You don't like Charlie Pride?
No, I just you were because I'm doing split screen here, so you were slightly cut down the your face wasn't fully in the screen there, but now it is. So how you doing, Cameron? What we get to talk
about cutting me, mister.
Oh boy, what's going on, Cameron?
Law of man in the West now.
Ah, did you move out west?
Yeah, because mine was let me light my cigar, my cigar, using my old Western lighter.
Is that really what that I gotta say, when I said did you move out west, the first thing to come to my head was, do you remember that old Kid Rock song, Cowboy, where there's that line where like, I'm moving out west, sucker, cause I wanna be a cowboy, baby. Do you remember that song?
That song is not old to me, friends, because I tell you, I wake up that song every day.
I remember that song.
Not because I particularly like Kid Rock, but because I like the West and the dream of the West. So I listen to that.
Right.
I listen to Going Out West, the Tom Waits song that was in the movie Fight Club, and I listen to, oh boy, it'd be good if I could think of another name with some West in the name. West,
the song from the Will Smith movie Wild Wild West, obviously.
Oh yeah, Wiki Wild West. That is another classic Western song.
Yes, that's the first thing I think of when I hear of country music. I hear Will Smith going Wild Wild West.
Wiki Wild Wild. Now you can see I've got my Western like poncho on. I've got and I can do.
Oh, you're wearing a poncho. Oh, you're wearing a poncho. So you're really going full.
Wait.
Oh, you have a recorder?
Wait, did I get it?
Is a recorder a Western thing, or are you mixing things up there?
It's not a recorder. It's a whistle.
Oh, it's a whistle. Are whistles
but I was
a Western
trying to make
thing?
the Clint Eastwood noise.
Oh,
but yeah, we had to move out west
okay.
because, of course, the westward expansion is the way to go, and the Providence, and I'm not talking about Rhode Island because that is pretty east as far as west goes. Because there I've heard. I woke up in. Well, later they told me it was a museum, but I saw an article there where that there's going to be gold in the Yukon, and when I hear gold, I know that I can mine that gold and turn that gold straight into American U.S. dollar currency.
I gotta
convert that back into crypto.
I gotta ask. Did you see that article in your library's archives? Because I'm afraid you might be a couple of years too late, Cameron.
I did have to use one of those machines and look at a microfiche. Now, I've talked about microfiche before and the value of micro. Sorry, I gotta take off this hat for a second. It's a little bit, but it's not like the greatest technology, to be sure. But we don't wanna. We wanna keep these things around, keep these old-timey traditions, because it can't all be digitized, and that stuff does have to be stored on a server somewhere. That's green. You gotta think like we already have the microfiche. Is it more green to build a server farm to hold all this information? Or
Cameron,
is it better if you go to?
I just gotta ask. Sorry to interrupt, but I have to ask. Were you wearing that fedora underneath your cowboy hat?
Oh, well, as you know, I'm a crypto man. I was involved in 10% or out of motorcycle clubs. I'm a musician. I'm a famous accordion.
Oh,
I've
right, the accordion
pretended
you
to be
got.
Jeff Bezos once. So I like to think of myself as a man of many hats.
A Renaissance man.
Yeah.
You know, when they say a man of many hats, they don't mean that you have to actually physically wear many hats on your head at all.
They don't
Let
mean that,
alone
but these people you're talking to are
let alone at
amateurs.
once. Did you say they're amateurs?
They're amateurs. They don't know how to put in the hours, put in the hats,
They don't
or
got
put
that.
on the hats, put
They don't.
on lots of hats.
They don't have that hustle mindset
That's how
like
you
you
make
do.
it. That's how you make it in New York. That's how you make it in Hollywood, and that's how you make it in the
Whoa.
wiki wild wild west.
What was that noise? Uh, all right. Wow. So, what? So you're heading out west, for gold that they've discovered in the Yukon. Maybe
Yeah.
again, maybe a little bit late to that. But what will happen once you get there? Oh, well, where are you right now? I should ask. Are you there yet?
I
Even?
am currently on a plane going to the Yukon. It's a very
Okay.
big plane, which is why it doesn't look like I'm on a plane, and you can't hear the plane. And no, I'm not. I'm not. I'm not. I'm not a plane. I'm still here on the east. I've just been thinking about the west a lot, and I wanted to just put it out there that maybe this will be the thing that pushes me to actually go out west and go to the Yukon.
So
And
you're
get
sitting
rid of
you're
those hard
sitting
drives.
you're sitting home, thinking about going west is what you're saying.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I don't see why you can't. I mean, you're already
Just because I
a.
don't have enough money for the bus.
But what happened to you? All your crypto riches are gone. Like I know you lost some stuff from your
No, but
mine.
they just don't take crypto. The bus. Have you tried to pay with? That's not how a bus works.
I mean, but you could exchange it. No.
I don't know. I feel like we're about to hit a boom.
Wait, so you don't want to sell your because you'll be selling it at a loss, I assume.
Yeah, it's eventually gonna go up more. Have you heard about something called the gambler's fallacy? I'm
Uh,
doing that.
say this again. What are you talking about?
If I keep putting money into something that's continually failing, uh, the odds aren't 100% that it's gonna fail. So eventually, I'm gonna get that, 1 or 2 or 3% that doesn't fail, and then that's when things are gonna go good for me, and I'm actually gonna have a life that I can feel good about.
Okay. All right. I mean,
I wish. Oh,
all right.
I wanted one more thing.
Sure.
Last time I called in, we were talking about emo music, and I mentioned some band that had and I said they had a song called Ostracized, and you said, oh, it was like the guy from Brand New is a bad guy. I've never listened to Brand New in my life, as far as I can tell.
Oh, you
I
never
was talking
have?
about the band Lifetime.
You're talking, oh, Lifetime.
Is there
Okay.
anything bad about
Wow.
them?
No, there's not. I've seen Lifetime. They're a good band.
Yeah, they're pretty
They are
good.
not brand new.
No. I don't know. There was some cross wires there,
No,
and I want to
there's
make sure that I cleared that up before I let you go.
no. They're from way before Brand New. Like they're from when Brand New were just like 12-year-old kids.
Brand new? Back
Yeah,
when they
Brand New
were
was
brand
brand
new?
new. Yeah, they were from when Brand New were but children, right? Oh, Lifetime's a good band. Underrated band too.
Check
in
it
my
out,
opinion.
people who haven't heard them.
Right.
Lifetime.
You never heard a Brand New song?
I probably have, but didn't get into it.
All right. Yep. I mean, they weren't as good as Taking Back Sunday. Let's put it that way. But all right, Cameron. Great talking with you. I hope your journey to the West is a good one, or at the very least, it even happens. And I do have to say that if you're going out there, there are sure plenty of opportunities for you. But if you are set in, finding gold in the Yukon or something, I think you might be.
Yeah, no, if that, I'll
Few
just settle
decades
for
late.
being a famous Hollywood actor. I understand
I mean,
that not
honestly,
everyone
that's
achieves their
probably.
dreams when they go out there.
What did you say?
I understand that people go out to like Hollywood and California trying to find gold in a river. But sometimes they fail in their dreams and have to become Hollywood actors.
Right.
Like
That's
John Cusack
right.
or
That's the.
Joan Cusack.
That's the trajectory. Yep, they go out there searching for gold in them
So,
hills.
if that's the
And
worst, I'll
and
bid
they-
you adieu. And do I have another hat under here? No, I couldn't fit one.
Oh, okay. You could have got a
Good
yarmulke,
night.
I guess.
Yeah.
Take care, Cameron. Oh my god. Oh my god. Oh, someone was calling in and they just dropped the call. Call back in. I'll be happy to take your call. Let's now go to the. I guess I'll read some super chats. Just had another call just drop. I hope nothing's going on with Skype. Oh wait, what? How did I miss this? There's a hype train over on Twitch. I'm sorry for missing that. Thank you, everybody. Oh, we got a caller. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, chat.
Hey,
from
Renee. How are you doing, my friend?
Great. I wanted to talk about two things. Let's go. Do you want something that more has to do with you or today's topic first?
Ooh, whoa,
Got me.
whoa, what?
I was,
Oh,
like,
we got.
working on
Oh,
the
someone's
song
playing. All right,
for June.
let's start with today's topic, and then we'll go to the more personal, fun stuff. So, go ahead. Let's talk about
Okay.
today's show topic.
So basically, I sent you. If you can pull up what I sent you on Skype.
Oh, you sent me something on Skype. Let's see.
Yeah, I'm prepared too. This is gonna be like hopefully it's gonna be like a theme for between us.
Where is this stuff? Oh, what's this? Oh, these are some screenshots here. No, they're not. They're links. What is this? New Statesman.
Yeah. There's
why-
a screenshot of the headline of one of the articles.
This is from
And
2017.
there's also a link to the Daily Beast.
Why Trump and the right-wing Leninists have Davos man by the throat. What the fuck are they talking about here? Let's continue. It's easy to guffaw at the idea of a billionaire Bolshevik in the White House, but it seems there is more to the comparison than meets the eye. What? And
It seems that Steve Bannon was back in the day.
Steve Bannon. Hold on, let me read this. Let me read this first. Hold on, let me read this headline you sent to me first. The Daily Beast.
Okay.
Steve Bannon.
Pull it up. Pull up the screen.
Oh, right. Hold on, let me pull it up
Come
on
on,
the feed
where's
here.
your professionalism?
Oh, excuse you. No, you're right. I should pull this up on the feed here. Let me screen share really quick here. Oh wait, what's going on with these notifications? Oh no, the advertisements. 1 second. Oh. Steve Bannon, Trump's top guy, told me he was a Leninist. Okay.
Yeah.
And here is the other
basic-
headline that I brought up. All right.
Right. So can you do anything like pull it on screen? Use I guess the green screen or something.
Oh no, I
Any
did.
magic?
No, it was just on the screen. You just couldn't see it on Skype.
Okay. So as I was saying, yeah, that's Steve Bannon. I think it's basically this whole thing of like what Jackson Hinkle is doing is basically like using that because it's a popular thing. Because of course they want it. It's basically they're using it as a blueprint in order
But maybe,
to
maybe young Steve Bannon, was a a confused high school student or junior high school student.
Yeah, but let me go to the point. What I think is like the idea of seizing power. So they're not using like, I don't know, Robespierre or even Potofkin or something like that. So they're giving like this mythos of being like the will to power to rise and all that. So of course they're not going to use like an example like the Bavarian Push or anything like that. Now on the other hand, this is what is important to note, because this is like Steve Bannon got enthused because of what he was talking about, the New Statesman. The New Statesman is a rag that has like a lot of prestige, but in the past, when it was like in the 1920s, it was founded by English socialists, the Fabian Society, among whom there was people like George Orwell and especially George Bernard Shaw. And then afterwards, they had like very like differences of opinion, whether it's about Stalin, whether it's about the Spanish Civil War, whether it's about Stalin's agreement with Hitler and stuff like that, which is also a precedent for this kind of crazy idea of like pulling the wool over our eyes, for instance, regarding our appeasement with the extreme right wing. So basically, what happened with the New Statesman is that it's always been like, it's kind of like the Guardian, that it kind of, the readership and all that, but even worse because it doesn't have something to fall back on as a Guardian. So there've been people that have been buying it along the years. And for instance, there was like several things, like there was like somebody accused of being a Thatcherite that was kind of like infiltrated in there. Then afterwards, there was like a guy called Hargraves that bought it. And he's like very controversial because he started to add like various right-wing stuff, so like talking about like about nationalism and all those like similar tropes. And there was like there's also reading the article because I read about the New Statesman and all that, despite its prestige. Because of course, to me, I had this like what the fuck reaction like 3 or 4 years ago. Not to be a hipster about it, but it's like I also discovered like Tim Pool's song in various extreme circumstances because I was like watching a hot girl on YouTube and she was like accepting requests and somebody put the song on. So nothing to be proud about. So anyway, yeah, they mentioned it.
That's funny. Go ahead.
And Zoe said, "Yeah, thanks. I hate it." So anyway, so basically, it's kind of like a KGB agent, a retired KGB agent because it's the fun. Discussed that basically the Soviets would use the New Statesman as a disinformation platform. So that can be like a lead into today's article. I mean today's show regarding that. It's kind of a route in order to like provide like another like kind of like fifth column and stuff like that. On top of what, if Grimm would have called, he would have talked about.
I don't know where Grimm has been. He hasn't. I haven't seen him around. I hope he's doing all right.
Yeah, I'm basically he considers me his either Vlasov, though I call other people Vlasov, or his Trotsky. So I don't know. Personally, we lost contact over Ukraine. Sorry, guys.
Wait, where do you guys disagree on that?
Basically, he supports the Ukrainians. I don't. I hate both sides because both sides include homophobia and transphobia, toxic nationalism, Nazis, and all sorts of. And
I mean, but you're talking about the people fighting though.
No. Also, people supporting them. All sorts of things. Like I'm anti-Zav and anti-Azov. I mean,
no, but I
mean,
there are ordinary, everyday, regular people in Russia.
Yeah, but that's
in
like
Russia.
the same thing about the people in Donetsk that get caught in everything, and maybe they want to be like left alone and autonomous, and are using it. They're being used as bargaining chip by both sides. I mean, I can understand autonomy.
Right,
from the
but if
Mahmoud
they,
chip
but if they
here
but
and
if they
stuff
want to
like
be
that.
but if they want to be autonomous, then Russia's not providing that for them either. So
Well, that was the whole show behind the previous 8 years and stuff like that of the Russian incursions and stuff like that.
right, I mean,
Now they're incorporating them into territory.
I mean, I think
to
it's I
defend
think
them. I mean,
I think it's pretty clear.
It's an escalating shit show, and I don't belong to either side.
No, I
And to me,
I
it's
see
full-
I see what you're
full
saying.
bonnier. At the most, that format, like that Jerry Lewis movie where he goes into World War II by himself. I create my own, even though I'm not an anarchist. I'm a Magno brigade, and I'd fight everyone. Anyone that's with a swastika or with a Z, I'd fight them. So, I'm full bonnier. Or
I mean, but
what's it called?
we agree who the aggressor is, though, correct?
I don't know. I mean, it's a shit show regarding the toxic nationalism.
I mean,
I think even though there's like a clear idea of of what a foreign incursion is, and how that creates like toxic nationalism at the same time, there's been like a lot of black blood and also the Banderites and all sorts of things. And basically, to me, it's obvious that even though you can discuss about the Wagner Group and stuff like that.
But I mean, it's pretty. This is. I think you're getting too. Listen. I agree with the fact that obviously there are fascist elements on both sides, and you could of course disagree with the Zelensky government as well, and him as president. You could think, you could disagree with, but I mean, at its very basis. At the very basics.
No, it also has to do with Western expansionism in Russia and how the United States set this all up, and also the involvement of Biden and all sorts of stuff.
Listen,
I'm calling from the third world, which pisses Dave from Jamaica off. But I mean,
no, listen, I get your view. I get your viewpoint is certainly heavily influenced by your own experience as someone who lives and is from Chile, or just South America, Latin America in general.
Yeah, no, I mean, I also debate with people that thought that created like the caricature, like this A that I either put in was like Lenin Reborn, which is kind of
but I mean,
what Steve Bannon was trying to do.
But I mean,
the fact that it was completely anti-imperialist.
You could disagree with NATO. You could think. That explains our current relationship with Russia, but the act of Russia invading Ukraine, I mean, it has nothing to do with that. I mean, it's
but it's not a completely like speaking of Cameron, like cowboys wearing black hats and stuff like that. I'm basically like I mean. In my point of view, it doesn't matter about the Wagner Group being Nazis because the Zov movement, I don't call it Z, the Zov movement is completely completely fascist right now. So there's that.
Right.
I'm just neither.
But
Zov
I mean,
nor
if you're someone who is anti-imperialism and anti-war, and then I think it's a easy side to take, and it's not the country of Ukraine. You can simply say it is clear that the people of Ukraine, the innocent people, the women, children, men, mothers, fathers, grandmas, grandpas,
they got caught up in this confrontation between different nationalist narratives.
But there's no equivalent of that.
It's the same thing as like the young people in Russia that got hoodwinked into participating in the war as well.
Oh well, sure,
especially
of course. It seems like it's but again, who is responsible for both of those things?
Oh no,
it's not Ukraine.
Yeah,
in either situation.
But I meant that it's kind of like egging on from both sides. So I mean, to the Ukrainians, it's a beloved it's like a great narrative, a great conflict for survival and stuff like that, and Biden's pulling the money into that. So to me, it's like an anthill. termites.
I think you keep criticizing things that I feel like are okay and
No, and
legit to
also
criticize,
I
but
can comment on the influence of Western Europe
no,
and the United
but
States
but
and how it's
at
like
its core
gone
though,
to
but at its core,
gone to a Cold War narrative.
but at its core here, what's going on in Ukraine is an act of Russia imperialism. Like the NATO was not
Yeah,
expanding.
but I can accept that, but I can't. I have to factor in. I mean, take it this way. I'm a Chilean. If Argentina invaded Chile and stuff like that, as they were trying to do back in the day of Pinochet and stuff like that, would I want to fight next to a guy that's a pro Pinochet or a Nazi or stuff like that? I'd have very difficulty. I'd probably try to like get people from the Argentinian
Right,
side.
but what
and
I'm
stuff
saying,
like that.
but what I'm saying though is that there are the majority of Ukrainians who are in Ukraine.
This is pan-Slav fascism as
but
was
listen,
commented before. There's Dugin and there's like
just listen to what I'm saying though for a second.
Limonov.
But I keep trying to explain this to you, and I don't know if you're not understanding or not getting it.
No, I understand.
I'm not saying stand with the
just don't-
Ukrainian army. I'm not saying stand with the military. I'm not saying stand with Zelensky. The people of Ukraine are the ones who are the victims here. They've done nothing wrong to deserve this invasion into their homeland, their homes, the destruction of their where they live, and
there's allegedly like the autonomous regions in revolt and stuff like that. So it was whether they were complicit or not.
All right, even if you
Whether
want to bring up the
Donbass.
the Donetsk region or whatever, that's not Kyiv.
Donbass.
That's Donbass, whatever it was called. I'm sorry, that's not Kyiv, and that's where Russia was heading and was in.
Yeah, but it's just like in Chile and stuff like that, it's like the capital and stuff like that promotes the kind of like that kind of narrative and stuff.
What is your opinion? What is your opinion on what the U.S. did to Iraq and Afghanistan?
Regarding Iraq and Afghanistan, but they're not even neighbors. They don't even have a history.
I'm not.
And even then, it was like.
I'm not talking about Iraq and Afghanistan as no. Okay, what about what the U.S. What about what the U.S. did in Iraq?
Right. I'm against it, but I understand the whole history behind it, and I understand all the parties involved, and I understand it was like a whole parade and a whole show.
Wait.
I understand the whole historical context.
So you don't think the U.S. was
how
wrong?
The region was.
Hello? We just froze, or he hung up. I don't know. Oh, it says he didn't hang up. It's poor network connection. I didn't want this conversation to go this way. I think Renee is coming from a well-meaning place, honestly. I mean, I know Renee through this show. He was a guest on to talk about Chile. Obviously, we don't have to agree with everything for me to have him on as a guest to talk about a completely unrelated issue that he's personally experiencing in his country. I don't know where this came from. All right, let's go to the phones here. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hi, it's Ryan from Ontario.
Hey,
Ryan
Ryan.
Lennon fan from the chat.
Hey, Ryan from Ontario. What would you like to talk about?
Okay, I didn't want to necessarily get too into it because I mean, we could go on and on forever, but I would just say that to the main point of what Renee was talking about, I would say that during a reactionary war, which, I mean, this is a reactionary war between two reactionary governments, right? You should not side with either of them, and you should side with the revolutionary parties that exist within inside of those countries. And if we look at what the Ukrainian government has actually been doing to the left-wing parties inside of their country, it's pretty fucking disgusting. So I would just say that inter-imperialist war is bad, and you're pretty much always just going to have a bunch of deaths for no reason. And as communists, socialists, we need to defeat our own government so that we can have a socialist party in power that can properly defend itself without having to expand through these imperialist measures that capitalism necessitates.
Sure.
Like,
Yeah. I mean,
towards
I can.
existence.
My issue with Renee that we were sort of going back and forth with was like, I mean, I'm not asking him to side with either government. Was asking him to just basically share uh, if he stands or thinks that the victims here are the Ukrainian people. And you sort of was not understanding or wouldn't get there, so that made me very confused. Because I feel like they are in the same way that I'm sure there are many Russian citizens who are struggling due to the war in Ukraine from the sanctions and such.
Exactly.
Like the people.
It's both parties are going to end up being fodder for
Right.
capitalism. It's what's going to it's Raytheon dollars that
Right.
is what's going on here, really.
Right,
Fundamentally.
but for me, here's the thing. Like, it's very easy to, you know, say that both are suffering, which they are, but there is specifically one group of people who are having bombs dropped on their heads, and that's the people of Ukraine. So I mean, it's sort of, the comparison works in certain ways and doesn't work in others.
Definitely agree with that. And that is, I mean, why it's so interesting that these quote unquote communists, MAGA communists, whatever, patriotic socialists, these Hinkle, it's just an insane line to take that Russia is somehow correct here. I think that it's like this...
Russia's the one. Like, Russia in this situation is the party that could end it. Like, Ukraine can't just
Right.
decide to stop fighting tomorrow, whether you agree with them or not. I mean, I wouldn't expect anyone to just give up their home like that. You know what I mean? Like, regardless of whether I agree with them or not, I would not expect them to do that. And so, I mean, if Ukraine stops tomorrow, it doesn't end. If Russia stops tomorrow, this is over.
Yeah, no, that is yeah, that's true. It's hard for me to even sympathize with that weird Chomsky line that was going around not too long ago, that the Ukrainians should just surrender or whatever. Again, I think as communists, we need to support the communist parties that are there, that are actively, fighting against their government.
Right.
But yeah,
And I'm sure
that's like the far,
sure-
that's like the left, my far left wing view. I know obviously you don't think like that, but
No, I do somewhat.
Yeah.
Also,
To a lesser
there's
extent,
probably also a very diverse sort of opinion on this within Ukraine itself. I mean, I'm sure there are people, left wingers, who also think they need to continue out of fear of what Russia would do if they walk away as the winners here.
Yep, I would say the Maoist line would be, similar to what happened in China, would be to have your own revolutionary party that's fighting its own war, unrelated to these two inter-imperialist fighting conflicts. But that's kind of
hard to set that up as this is going on.
Hard.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Their party was not they didn't have any advanced parties at that point to even bring them to that stage. There's only like 3 or 4 parties in the world that are currently even fighting ongoing communist revolutions. So yeah, I definitely understand where you're coming from there. It's a difficult situation. It's just incredible to watch these reactionaries just become simps for social imperialism. I guess they do the exact same thing for any Western country. Really, it's just fundamentally a anti-Western like that's what their ideology boils down to. And don't get me wrong, I fucking hate the West as much as the next guy. I don't even think the country I live in is fundamentally real, Canada. But like, yeah, it's just insane to side with imperialism over imperialism. The two things can be bad at once. Have multiple thoughts in your head.
Right. I mean, yeah, you dislike the West because of actual things,
Reasons.
like reasons.
Yeah.
You don't just dislike the West because it's the West. I mean,
Yeah.
and as a person who understands that there is gray area, I'm sure you even believe there are good things the West has done. Probably not in the aggregate, doesn't come out on top, but there are a few things that you probably think the West does better. Probably not too much. Probably not too. I'm not even asking you to. I'm not even asking. I'm just basically trying to get across the idea that a regular person understands that there are multifacets to everything, and not everything is just like this bad, 100% bad.
Right. Yeah, and of course, obviously, if you want to have any sort of quote unquote successful communist revolution, or okay, I'll just put it this way: if you've done any organizing with a communist organization in any country at all, you'll know that it is the most like queer group of people, the most more POC, more indigenous, more what have you. Like this idea that obviously identity politics isn't a solution to anything, and Michael obviously has some good lessons on that, but like, wow, the just like the dismissal of any of these struggles is legitimate at all, when obviously these are all intertwined struggles, like as we need to understand as socialists. Like, yeah, we all share the struggle of class relations, but these other ones do exist, and class relations aren't even always the primary relation. Such as a country as Canada, you can't unite the country on class because these classes have all been bought out. You have to unite on like decolonization almost first. You know what I mean? With indigenous rights. This is what's happened around the world with successful communist revolutions. I don't want to take too much of your time up with communist propaganda. All of your listeners, I'm sure, get enough of that.
I love all the conversations on this show, so I'm having a good time. But I'm assuming that because I saw you were trying to call in before I had the conversation with Renee, so I'm assuming you had a completely different thing you wanted to talk about. So let's get to that. If my assumption is correct.
I actually did just want to talk about the like the contradiction between like those like the I kind of talked about it already, like the like all these people are really just anti-West, fundamentally anti-Americanism is their ideology, and it's seriously unserious. It's terrible. It's not rooted in any sort of materialist ideology, not scientifically socialist. These people don't care about Marx or anything like that. They're just trafficking in what they find to be edgy in a way. Like they think like, oh, communism, maybe like it's edgy to them. I don't know.
Wait,
they don't take it seriously.
Are you trying to tell me that Marx wasn't actually a conservative?
Yeah, that is kind of what I'm trying to say. That is a hilarious idea, though.
Blasphemy!
Somebody tell Jackson Hinkle that communism is not conservative. It'll blow his mind.
I mean, I forgot to mention on the first when I was talking with Oleg that Ogel, whatever, I can't remember what he goes by on the Wasting Times, that my understanding of Jackson Hinkle mainly comes from that time he debated Sam Cedar and just basically went in circles on just straight up his focus was basically like his worldview was basically hate on AOC, which, I mean, if you don't like her, that's fine. I mean, I can't force you to like someone, and nor would I care to force you to like a politician for in the first place. I mean, I personally like AOC? I do, but I don't care whether you like her or not.
I
But
have no
that
reason
seems
to like her, but I will say that my reasons are very rooted in a materialist basis for like things that she, I just don't think that electoral politics are going to get us anywhere, even if I think that maybe she's a good person out of all of the terrible ghouls that are there.
Wait, you don't think that the revolution will come about through just strictly hating on AOC and the rest of the squad? What?
No, I think that organizing is the primary goal of socialists. Join
Whoa!
a communist organization, please, for the love of God. Stop debating online. Don't stop debating online, but don't make that your primary focus. Like, do it for the memes, do it for, getting a little bit of messaging out there. It's important, kind of the things that you do. I really love your shows, but like the people who are spending all of their time on Twitter being socialists and not organizing is incredibly frustrating. Please join an organization. It's the least you could do.
I cannot believe the words coming out of your mouth.
I know. What am I, a communist?
What I mean, honestly, you don't even need to be a communist to say these things. It's just a normal, rational human being to believe that change won't come about through arguing about minor intra group issues, like whether the appropriate strategy is this or this, and then fighting with those same people, that same max 1,000 people about that strategy over and over again. I mean, that's not going to solve things. I'm shocked.
The best way to figure out what works is via practice. Yeah, that is what Karl Marx would say. So get out there and practice, my friends. All right, I'll let you go.
Great call. Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah, you too.
And now my cat is scratching at the door. I don't know if you heard that. Sorry about that. It was really annoying, like grating, like nails on a chalkboard. Let's see what time. Oh, we did an hour. I'm really this. I know you guys are used to the long show. Oh, we got some calls. All right. I'll save that because it seems like we will go long today. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
It is Kowalski.
It's my favorite, or the one Boogaloo boy who I like, Kowalski. How you doing, my my friend?
Oh, just chilling.
I remember in early 2001, Jimmy Dore attempted to join forces and unite his left with the Boogaloo Boys, and I even did a whole video piece on why it was a bad idea and you can't do that. Kowalski, I have to say, you have changed my worldview, and you have convinced me that there is at least one good Boogaloo out there, and it is you.
Nice.
Oh my God! For people who don't know,
I've been
for people
called
who
a Boogaloo boy, Nickelback fan. Jesus.
For people who don't know and are just tuning in, I should be clear. Kowalski, not a Boogaloo boy. I'm just having fun with his Hawaiian shirt. So what would you talk about, Kowalski?
Well, I wasn't going to call in because I thought your interview was pretty good. The false correlation there. It's like, hey, it's nationalism and socialism brought together. Oh, this will end well. But I just wanted to touch really quick on the Ukraine conversation that kind of came out of nowhere.
I didn't want to go there, but we were there, and I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if he was just not. But yeah, go ahead, Kowalski.
Well, I respect his position because I understand wanting to be like a pacifist and whatnot, like not getting involved. But this was not like a situation of oligarchs versus like common people or anything like that. This was just straight up a political power dynamic between Russia and a weaker nation. So if Russia got control of Ukraine, which would have been hard, they would have had more energy influence over Europe. They would have had control over a lot of food to the Middle East and Africa, which would have given them a tremendous amount of power on the international stage. And they were going to do this by causing essentially 1 million casualties across Ukraine if we would not have helped them. And it probably would have caused an even larger refugee crisis into Europe. So it wasn't like there is a good and bad guy in this situation. The Russian government is the bad guy, not the people. They don't really have much of a say in it unless like enough of them get upset over it. But like it would be like being angry if France would have invaded Germany the moment the Germans took over Czechoslovakia. Like France would have definitely been in the right to just stomp Germany when they had the chance. And in this situation, we probably prevented several 100,000 Ukrainians from being massacred all across Ukraine and slaughtering countless Russian conscripts in the process because the Russians would have been able to use more tanks because, all of our weapons that were used to blunt their spearheads and all the rest. Like, what we did helped them defend themselves, and now they're taking their land back. Also, like, my grandfather, I would not consider him to have been much of a progressive guy, but he fought in World War II, volunteered to go fight the Nazis, and he served with people from the South who were segregationists. I would say a segregationist and just like a liberal or quasi-conservative from the North liberating a concentration camp is a net positive for the world. So I don't really see how the Azov Battalion pretty much dying to the last man in Mariupol fighting off a Russian invasion that's killing civilians is necessarily a bad thing. Like politically, yes, their policies are terrible, but they are defending their homes, so you can't really fault them for that. Like it's not like they were going on the offensive. Like they were just defending. And all of the things that like Russia wanted out of this was just simply more power. And yes, the money we gave them, it sounds like a lot. $30 billion, that's a lot of money. Not even 5% of our military budget. It's a rounding error. So yeah, I see a lot of people make this like connection, and I just don't see it. Like, was it bad that France and England intervened when Poland got invaded during World War II? I mean, it's the pretty much the same situation. So like, I would just keep that in mind. Not a lot of this just deals with power blocks and Ukraine being a free nation to determine its own course with its own resources and people. Probably the right thing. Also, if you look at Zelensky's like leadership, he's got or had an advisor who he's doesn't believe in nationalism. He doesn't believe in the old Soviet Union. He doesn't believe in Russia, and basically wants Ukraine to basically plot a course similar to like the aspirations the United States like had at its founding. So I mean, like, there's a lot of different ideas floating around. I think it's pretty like uh, we're not very imaginative when viewing these folks because I mean, there's a lot of agendas at play. Just put that out there.
Right.
So.
Well, as always, thank you, Kowalski, for calling in and with your knowledge about, because I didn't even think of that in terms of the. I mean, I know it's been brought up, but when I was talking with Renee, it didn't occur to me to bring up anything involving the global food supply.
Yeah, that $30 billion we sent Ukraine meant that half of their food got planted, and that means millions are not going to starve to death across the Middle East and Africa. Was that a bad thing for us to do? It
Right.
definitely killed some Russians, but not millions.
Right. Right.
So, I mean, it just, there's a lot of power dynamics at play here. And like, Europe doesn't want a refugee crisis. We don't want one. And if you really are a humanitarian, you don't want these people to be starving. So, like, yeah, just big picture, people. But that's pretty much it. That, and I wanted to show off my cool chair again. So
That chair is I wouldn't think
it is
that was
very comfortable.
Yeah, I wouldn't think that was a Kowalski type chair, honestly. You don't come across to me as the Twitch streamer gamer type, which is the obvious demographic that chair is going after.
Yeah, the a buddy of mine, he has a pretty good gaming setup, so I wanted to one up him just this one little thing, and I did, so I won.
Thanks for the call, Kowalski. Always a pleasure. Have a great
Yep,
night.
have a good one.
Also, someone said Kowalski. Oh, I hung up on him. Someone said you should use some sunscreen when you're out there. You do look like you got quite the either tan or burn. Hopefully the former. Let's go to. Oh, we got a raid from Wrathbone. Thank you so much. Everyone check out Wrathbone on Twitch, twitch.tv, twitch.tv/RATH8ONE, and pronounced Wrathbone. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Oh, all right. It's kind of sick Dave from Jamaica calling.
Oh, no, you're not feeling good. Dave from Jamaica. Hope you're doing all right, my friend.
No worry, I'll be going to work tomorrow anyway, so not much. I'll just have to tough it out. But oh, okay. Oh, am I repeating? Okay, good. Oh, so I'm going to echo and agree with Kowalski mostly, right? I didn't really like speaking on this topic per se because one thing, fog of war tends to confuse things. So anybody who says they know what's going on militarily is lying to themselves. It's kind of, I've been hearing predictions all over the place, right? So I'm just going to wait till all the information comes in. But to echo what Kowalski says, I think people want a simple narrative or narrative that fits their ideology, right? But the truth is, if we're thinking about this rationally, who invaded who? The Russians, right? So they hold most of the responsibility for whatever's going on. Also, I've been hearing arguments like, well, it's because of NATO expansion. Well, I don't know. If one was worried about NATO expansion, I think the Russian government is doing literally the worst thing they could do if that was their concern. So, and I generally agree with Kowalski. I think this is their version of like there being the US and Ukraine is Iraq. I think that's actually a pretty good analogy because from the friends I know who do speak Russian or who live in Ukraine, it is their kind of their version of neoconservatism. All right. And fortunately or unfortunately, depending on the soldiers, because to be honest, not many of them have any choice in, just like the Russians don't have a choice who is their government, right? If you think about it, right, their plan was so harebrained because they thought they could roll in, kill the government, and then more or less kind of hold territory, which is crazy, and which is why it reminds me of the neoconservatives, because they thought it was, well, we're going to go into Iraq, it's going to be a cakewalk, we're going to collect money on all this oil, boom, boom, bang, and it ended in disaster, similar to what we're seeing here, right? And I would just say it's like a version on fast forward. I know this will piss off some people, but we need to get out of this campism mentality, all right? If there are camps, us regular folks are not in it.
No, yeah.
we ain't getting any benefit from either of the in these camps. That's the truth. So as where I'm a little more concerned than Kowalski is when you have wars like this, right wingers win all the ways. They get more dominant and in control regardless. So if Russia managed to take over, they're full of right wingers. They have a right wing government. They even have their own collection of actual Nazis. I've seen the totem coughs on their side. Right. So
yeah, the people who are anti Ukraine love to just bring up the Azov battalion without ever acknowledging, because they're not just anti-Ukraine, they're pro-Russia. But if you're anti-Ukraine because of the Nazi or fascist factions on that side, you can't ignore the fucking Wagner group in Russia and other neo-Nazi groups in Russia.
And don't get me wrong, I think the Western media has done a very terrible job, and NATO and the US government kind of downplaying the nature of Azov. Well, there's only 20% actual Nazis in there. It's horrible, right? But the truth is, it's not just them fighting in this war, right? And
I think the downplaying of it is definitely dumb, but also I think like this is sort of something where they can't really deal with it right now. Do you know what I mean?
No, but I'm wondering how much of the fighting force is actually Azov Battalion, or we have different. I'm pretty sure they have different right-leaning groups or different groups in general fighting against the Russians.
From my understanding, the Azov Battalion is very small in comparison, obviously, to the Ukrainian, military, but they are where all the action is. They're on the front lines because that's where they've been for the past, I don't know, since 2014. So being that so many photos are from those areas, they obviously are captured in those photographs a lot because that's where they've been for the past
right. That's where the fighting is.
Yes, that's where they've been for the almost past 10 years.
So my worry of it is I generally have a more pessimistic view, because let's say if the Russians win, it's going to be a right-wing hellhole. And if the Ukrainians win, I think there is the right sector is going to be able to seize control, because that usually happens when you have war and death.
Oh, you mean like the right wing, the right wing within Ukraine?
Right. No, this is not me saying they're morally equivalent or anything like that. This is just me looking at history in general. Right. When it was the Soviets in Afghanistan versus the Mujahideen, right? The same type of story plays out. When you have war and death, right-wingers tend to be able to seize control, no matter, almost universally, when we see in modern warfare right now, right? And that's my concern about it, because that's just generally my pessimistic view on it, because and there is things to be concerned about, but I do find this very weird knee-jerk reaction for people to be anti-Ukrainian very odd. Because when you're in a street fight, you grab what's handy, right? No, where I'm upset is I do think, while I'm glad Ukraine is getting support, I don't see support for other struggles, right? Where you have Palestinians versus the Israeli state, they ain't getting any support. And of course, now we're seeing with the various other wars breaking out, with Armenia under threat, legit threat of genocide from the other side, no support there, right? So if I'm upset with anything, it's a lack of consistency.
Right. No, I mean, a lot of where I think the Ukraine support comes from in terms of people who don't usually follow these sorts of things or like international events in politics is obviously, the media here in the U.S. is covered it in a very, I guess, pro-Ukraine position, which is obvious because they are the ones who are the playing defense here, and Russia's the aggressor. So I'm not saying that's wrong, but I think the coverage of it has sort of instilled in people here that you have to sort of take that strong position like that. Do you know what I mean?
Yes. As I said, it's promoting a campus type mentality. Pick a side. One side is bad, one side is good.
It could be worse. That meant that campus mentality could be for Russia, which would definitely be a lot worse. It would feel like, I'm sure, we went through something much worse that's sort of like that with the, during the Bush administration, where you
axis of evil.
Yes, yes.
Either with us or against us.
Yes. It's worked out in the best way that it possibly could, even though it's obviously not the ideal way of looking at things.
Right. And as I said, people have to look into what I would suggest looking at, if people remember 1993, all right? I'm not sure. Yeltsin Yeltsin more or less devastated and jailed a lot of the communists, and Putin is a protege of that, right? So I I understand people trying to connect Russia to its past, its Soviet past, but that Russia is dead and gone. Left-wing groups in Russia are all but decimated, and I think people need to get over that. Are they leftists in Russia? Yeah, but they have no power, and that's the sad truth about it, right? So I'm just speaking for those people who think, or who are attaching this nostalgia. That Russia has not existed since 1993, at least, right? No, does this mean everything in Ukraine is hunky dory? Of course not. But you have to put it in perspective. Who invaded who first? You have to keep it simple sometimes, right? Russia did the invasion, so they hold most of the responsibility for all the devastation that happens.
I would even say, you know, unless they were doing it as a proactive measure, they hold all the responsibility. I mean,
Hold all of it, yeah.
Yeah. Like people bring up NATO. I mean, you could bring up NATO literally for everything. Sure, that explains the relationship between U.S. and Russia, but there was no difference at all between you know, when Russia invaded and say a year or two before that, or further than that even. Like it wasn't a direct response to anything regarding what the U.S. was doing. I mean, Putin himself didn't even say that. It would have been the easiest thing in the world for him just to pretend that was the reason to give himself cover, and he didn't even do that.
Also, let me shave my head and put on my Putin thinking cap, right? If as I said before, if NATO expansion was the fear, then he would have continued his proxy war while NATO was still unpopular during that time, right? The war had the opposite effect. So either Putin is very stupid, or that was not really his concern. And it's clear to me it wasn't.
Right.
No, people might disagree with that, but you have to come up with a very good argument. It seems, as I said, it feels like the Iraq War. It was, he could probably, as some advisors, he's believing his own bullshit, right? And they thought it was going to be a cakewalk. It didn't turn out to be a cakewalk. And unlike the US, Russia does not have that type of money to invest in its military, hence the huge number of losses. Ill-equipped soldiers, so on and so forth, right? And no, don't get me wrong. Does this mean NATO's intentions are good and pure? No. Clearly, they're trying to needle an old enemy, right? But as far as the Ukrainians concerned, if I am in a street fight, I'm going to grab what's handy. I'm not going to sit there and die. So,
yeah.
And I don't understand why people. I'll put it like this. Let's put it in a situation where people would probably in the chat would be more likely to agree. Think of the Iran nuclear deal with the US after the whole thing with Trump. All of you and I would agree that trusting the US on any new negotiation seems like a waste of time. So why doesn't that logic apply to Russia? You see what I'm telling you?
Yeah.
How to describe Russia today is like a mini US, a wannabe US. They have their own imperial ambitions, and I don't know. It's just kind of it's a little frustrating. I can understand somebody saying, you know what, I'm not taking a side in it, and that makes sense. But taking Russia's side, it doesn't make. Think about it. You have what was Tucker Carlson's initial reaction? He wanted to side with Russia because they are ideologically in line with him. Plain and simple.
Yeah. No, yeah. Dave, great call. Thanks so much. And
yeah.
hope you feel better, my friend.
No problem. As Cameron said, I sound like Robotussin Dave from. Sorry.
Oh! Have a
All right.
great day, Dave. Take care.
Yeah, later.
All right, folks. I think. All right. We'll take one last call. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey Matt, it's Josh from California. How you doing?
Hey, Josh from California. I'm doing well. How are you?
I am doing.
Well,
And there's an echo. I can hear.
whoa, you cut out for a second. Hello?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, there was an echo. Sorry. I just wanted to. I missed most of the episode, but I heard a little bit about what Kowalski and Dave were saying, and I do think it's. I think it's important to have a little nuance as far as like there are things that Ukraine is doing in the name of war powers that are really concerning. Some of the labor changes that they've made, for example, some of the sort of lynchings that have happened of guys that are collaborators and absolutely should be arrested and put on trial and that kind of stuff. I mean, they were working with the Russians, and absolutely they should have been in jail, should have been tried as traitors, and probably hanged because that's usually the punishment for that. But like, you can make valid criticisms. There's been like Russian appointed mayors in the east that, as the towns have been reclaimed, the collaborators get lynched essentially. Not okay if you're a supposedly a democracy and whatever. But also, I think it's really interesting that we're also like, as far as the discussion around Azov and Wagner and everything else, it's like no shit. There's neo-Nazis in fucking Eastern Europe. Like Germany still has a problem with neo-Nazis in East Germany. Like,
I mean,
they did not.
we still have a problem with neo-Nazis right here in America.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, so like what standard are we holding anyone to that, we're like, how dare they fight on, like, and again, it's one thing if it's like if the Ukrainian government was like actually a neo-fascist or neo-Nazi regime, then, maybe you could make, where they were actively in the middle of a genocide or something like that, you could make an argument for a preemptive or aggressive invasion. Like, you can sort of, I mean, depending on the evidence, you could make a argument that the entire world should be invading China for what they're doing to the Uyghurs. But like, that kind of circumstance obviously isn't what was happening. So it's just very confused. Like the logic used to sort of criticize the self-defense and allowing impure elements or whatever you want to, into your military, which again, we have that same problem. Like I was in the Marines, and we had scout sniper units that were using like the SS insignias.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it's certainly a problem within the U.S. military, without a doubt. Yeah.
Unfortunately, they're starting to purge those guys. They just got rid of that dude in Virginia that was basically admitted he signed up to get better at killing black people. And
whoa!
So they just
I missed this. Where was this? I mean, that this specific case I'm unfamiliar with, but
yeah, they just processed him within the last week or so. They processed him out.
What was it? Military. Wow, I'm looking this up.
Yeah, that's a crazy case. I mean, we've sort of known for a while that, like,
it's at military.com too, so it's not even like this is they've. I have not seen anywhere else though, so maybe it's not being covered. A former paratrooper with the 82nd Airborne Division, who has been arrested, said he enlisted to become more proficient at killing black people and made overt references to white supremacy. Jeez. Killian
Yeah.
Ryan was, his name's Killian too, amazing, was taken into custody August 26th on a charge related to lying on his secret security clearance and was kicked out of the Army the same day, according to the service. An investigation by the FBI Joint Terrorism Task Force discovered ties to white nationalism and threats of violence against minorities on social media accounts, according to court records. I serve for combat experience, so I'm more proficient in killing, and the N-word. Ryan wrote in one social media post on May 27th, 2021. He was a young man then, though. These are old posts, obviously, of course. That comment
changed so much.
Right. That comment was posted roughly 2 weeks after he enlisted in the Army. His personal email address at the time was NaziAce1488.
Yeah, that sounds right. But yeah, I mean, I was in the Marines in from 99 to 2003, and we knew there was a problem then. And then I was in the Army later, and we knew there was a problem then. When I was in the Army, I joined in 2009, and there was a real big problem with Christian Dominionists in the Air Force, where they were literally having entire units on their supposed free time be forced to go to Christian rock concerts, like evangelical Christian rock concerts. And so that was a real big problem in Colorado. I think it was around the Air Force Academy, if I remember correctly. So it's been a problem. They have done a decent job cleaning this stuff up, which is great. You get rid of people like Flynn and stuff like that, and suddenly they don't have nearly as much. These types of people don't have nearly as much protection from the brass, but it's it's a problem that's that kind of adrenaline and combat and killing and all that attracts that kind of person. And so it's always going to be a problem, but it's something you have to stay on top of.
Right.
So,
I mean, really on the nose there, though, with that that username, Nazi Ace.
He's hiding.
Yeah, wow. I mean, and to be clear to people who maybe didn't understand, literally the reason why he was kicked out of the military and arrested was because he lied on the form specifically about this activity. They asked you if you've ever, you support terrorism or anything like that, and obviously, because you'd be an idiot not to, checked that he did not ever make any terroristic threats or anything like that. But usually when you check that, because you'd be an idiot not to, is because you also weren't an idiot to make any threats, which he did do. So, yeah, amazing.
Or at least you're better at hiding it. There's, I mean, that's one of the things that I do really enjoy about Zoomers is they're just they're not trying to hide anything they do online. It used to be, most of them. I mean, obviously, the 4chan trolls and whatever, they do a little bit better job. But it used to be, you had 6 burner account, email addresses to sign up for all of the different AOL, Instant Messenger, and all that kind of crap. So none of them were really. You'd have to through layers of email addresses for registration and all that kind of crap, because they do a background check when you get a security clearance, and they're pretty lazy. So if it's not if you don't make it that obvious, they don't find you, or it's a lot harder to prove that you lied. But when you make it that obvious, it's really obvious to be yeah, no, you clearly have a white supremacist affiliation, or you have a gang affiliation, which is another thing they ask you. And they a lot of the time they really don't care. They're just trying to catch, like, they just want to know if you lied. Like, honestly, if he had probably, if he weren't continuing to do this stuff and he had checked yes, they probably would have let it through, because they ask. It's like if you ever smoked marijuana before, because technically you're not allowed to do that or whatever. But if you say yes, but I don't do it anymore, and you pass the polygraph, like, they don't give a shit.
Right. Oh, this is an interesting detail from Rolling Stone that I'm reading. So another thing that he lied about in his application was that he wrote in a optional comment block that he had not seen his biological father in 10 years. He said his biological father is a convicted felon with a criminal history in Washington and California for drug violations and auto theft. However, law enforcement found evidence that this was a lie and that Ryan's biological father attended his high school graduation and that Ryan had been in contact with his father via a series of Instagram accounts Ryan had created since 2019. And now if you're wondering why would he hide his relationship with his father, well, an Instagram account associated with Ryan's biological father was also in contact with numerous accounts associated with racially motivated extremism. So his father was involved in this stuff, and he attempted to hide that by offering up without any prompt that he has not seen or interacted with his father in a decade, when it turns out he was in regular contact with his father, and his father was also a white supremacist, it seems like.
Very cool.
I mean,
No,
props to the Justice Department or the military or whoever was involved in this investigation for finding this stuff out. This seems like, I mean, there had to have been something to give them a tip-off here. I don't think they just randomly search every soldier's Instagram accounts and stuff, you know?
They don't, but if you're getting a security clearance, you have to give them everything that you have to give them all of your addresses and everything. And they run an FBI background check, and sometimes they, depending on the level of clearance, they go back to 10, 15 years and they'll actually interview people that you listed as references and all that. I had all that kind of stuff done. I was, again, like, tangentially, like, I have had to be inside a skiff and all this kind of stuff. So, like, it's just the level of security that you have to go through to get documents out of all that kind of shit is just, it's so obvious that Trump knew exactly what he was doing. Like, you have to, I mean, because you have to open your bags, and you have to, open your shirt and everything. Like, they check very thoroughly. So it's not like, oh, I accidentally walked off with nuclear codes or whatever. Like, it's, they're not this, like, the military can be pretty incompetent, and the government in general can be pretty incompetent, but they're not that incompetent. They don't, like, oh, the safe was just open, but sure, you didn't take anything. Let me just let you walk through without following any of the security procedures that have been in place for 75 years.
Right.
Like, yeah. So it's just, but yeah, they probably just ran a standard FBI background check on this guy, and it all came up.
Right. Amazing. It's amazing. I'm glad you brought that up to me, because I'm going to look more into this. This is interesting. This is like this could possibly be like the first, like, the main show episode too. That this investigation, find out more. Thanks for the call. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, man.
Have a great night.
You too.
All right. Listen, I see that there's one or two more people, 3 people trying to call in. I'm gonna call it a night, only because we're approaching the 3-hour mark. Spacco, I'm sorry, my friend. The voice of Scam Economy. Can you call in this week? By the way, Scam Economy is gonna be on Friday night. I'm busy with family on Thursday night. Spocko, would you be able to call in on Friday? Would you be able to call in on Friday for the post show, Scam Economy post show? And we can talk about whatever you want. Unless there's something really quick. You got something really quick you need to say right now, or if you'd like to talk for longer. I know you like to have your but it's worth it. You get these. I give Spocko the time because he's got this incredible breadth of information to share when he calls in. All right, perfect. You can call on Friday. I really want to get away from the thing that I could stream for these hours. That's not the problem, but I feel it in my brain where it's different depending on the night. Sometimes I could do 3 hours, no problem. Sometimes I could do 4 hours, no problem. But there's also times where we hit that 3 hour mark and I feel like I'm not giving you the attention you deserve because I'm sort of, my brain's all over the place because I'm tired. So if you could call on Friday, it says, I'll call in on Friday, said Spocko. Perfect. I will take your call 100% Friday. Same time as usual, the same time when you do Thursdays, just pushed one extra day back to Friday. Friday, 9 p.m., the main Scam Economy episode. Around 10 p.m., I'll start taking calls for about an hour and a half, or like we ended up doing tonight, 2 hours. Let me read those super chats, and then the Twitch messages, and then that's the night here. Wanda with a super sticker. Thank you so much, Wanda. Appreciate it. It's the Shiba dog. Thank you so much, Wanda. And now to the super chats. We got Ryan Lennon fan with a super chat. Calling Jackson Hinkle a communist is like calling Gorbachev a communist. Renee with a super chat. Check your Skype. That was before you called. Nazik with a super chat. Oh, that's it. Just wanted to give me the $5. Thank you so much, Nazik. Really appreciate that. Tokyo Hans with a super chat. Brandon Sutton may like the subsidizing of gyms. Also, I am glad you dug my Andrew Jackson Hinkle dig. LOL. Yes, thank you, Tokyo Hans, for that. That was funny. JM Parks with a super chat. Thanks for the practical and reasonable take. Couldn't agree more. Thank you. I believe you're talking about, Ukraine, Russia. I appreciate that. Yes. I mean, listen, you don't have to stand with any government or military, but it's clear that there are a group of people, and it's on the Ukrainian side. That group of people are the Ukrainian people who are being bombed, and their homes are being destroyed, their family members are being killed, their children are being killed. And the aggressor in this situation is Russia. Don't have to side with the Ukrainian government. We should side with the Ukrainian people that there is some sort of end to this. And that end can't just be Ukraine gives up unless that's what the Ukrainian people want. And from what I've seen, maybe there are a few people, but that's not what a lot of the Ukrainian people want. I don't know how many. I haven't seen the polling, but I mean, even if it was something like 50-50, which that would even be surprising to me. That's a lot of people who don't want to lose their freedom to be their own country to Russia. You don't have to support any war. Oh, we got a lot of. Let me make sure I shout these all out. Thank you, Last Shot Hopeful, for resubscribing with Prime over on Twitch. 2-month subscriber. Thank you. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong. Fratakchia, subscribe with Prime. Thank you so much. Don James cheered with 25 bits. Thank you so much. Stakem619 gave out 5 community gift subs. Thank you so much over on Twitch. Tokyo Hans gave out 2 community gift subs. MAGA Anaconda cheered 69 bits. Nice. This one resubscribed for 1 month at tier 1. Subscriber for 2 months. Thank you. Corn Pop for Prez, resubscriber Prime. 6 month subscriber. Thank you, Corn Pop for Prez. MAGA Anaconda with a second cheered 69-bit cheer. Thank you so much. Itruelson, subscribe with Prime. Thank you. Why everyone named Josh, subscribe with Prime. Thank you. Counting Amberjacks, resubscribe for 1 month at tier 1. 2-month subscriber over on Twitch. Thank you so much. Real and 86 gifted a 1-month tier 1 sub to Zeoduke. Thank you so much. Dom3L resubscribed with Prime. 5-month subscriber to Left is Best. Thank you. Really appreciate 8 Evo 5 subscribe with Prime. Media Offline TV subscribe with Prime. Warmbug subscribe with Prime. Aaron Bomb subscribe with Prime. See how easy this is, folks? Super easy to just log into Twitch and drop that Twitch Prime subscription after you connect your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account. And I would name the patrons, but were there any? I don't think so. Like I said, it's been a really rough month for patrons. Philip R subscribed to became a patron last week on Tuesday. I'm not sure if that happened. I think it happened during the last show, so I shouted him out, but he gets another one. Thank you, Philip. You know, I'm doing the shows, no loss in content. It just must be a rough month for people. No new patrons, lost some patrons. Hey, it is what it is. If you could subscribe to Patreon, I'd appreciate it. Only if you can, of course. Patreon.com/MattBinder. All right, folks. See you all on Friday for Scam Economy. Remember, Scam Economy usually on Thursday, but I'm busy Thursday night. So it'll just be pushed back a single day. Already got the interview in the bag. Already spoke with the person for this week's Scam Economy show because I wanted to make sure I had it because I'm busy these next few days when I would normally record or do the show, the live stream. But got the interview in, so there is 100% the show on Friday. You just got to wait till Friday so I could do the stream along with it. And Thursday I will be on MR. That's not affected. I'm doing something Thursday night. So I will be on MR on Thursday as well. All right, folks. I will see you all. If you're tuning in on Majority Port, I'll see you Thursday. If you're tuning in for Scam Economy, I'll see you Friday. And if you're just a doomed listener, I'll see. Oh wait, who should I rate on Twitch? Who am I rating on Twitch? Got a decent little amount of viewers, not more than I've ever had, but also not nothing. Good amount today. 68 viewers over on Twitch still. Who should I raid? Want to share that the love, right. Really quick, who should I raid? I want to do someone new. I want to do someone brand new. Who's Cosmopolitics? Is it Cosmepolitics? Discount Seth Rogen. Are you talking about Cosmepolitics? Because that's who comes up when I type in Cosmopolitics. I can't find Cosmopolitics. Cool, let's do that. Oh, wait. Bad and Pinata, why does that sound familiar? They're not on right now. Yeah, I will do Cosmepolitics. Wait, why are you saying no, Miss Heathen? Oh, so it's him. Okay. All right, everyone. I'm rating Cosmopolitics. See you all next time on Doomed.